Yo, what's up guys? So today we're going to be talking about Overwatch Season 21 with the new changes that have the hero rotation. So just as a heads up, the biggest change really with Season 21 comes with this hero rotation. So what that means is you cannot play these heroes. So Orisa, Hanzo, Mei, and Baptiste are completely unselectable. So the gameplay that you guys are seeing is me playing some Zarya. We got matched into a very low rank game, so it's going to look like we're cyberbullying, but I mean, it's just the nature of tank nowadays in Overwatch. Sometimes you get a really high rank game, and sometimes you get a really low rank game because there's not enough people that play tank. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the video where there is 3 DPS and then like 1 super tank. I actually thought that that would have been a really cool feature with the experimental card. If you guys haven't seen that, I'll pin that video down below. But basically they just buffed up the tank super hard, and then there's only 1 tank in the game, and that allows you to have much faster queue times. The whole reason why I've been playing on alt accounts is so I can get games faster as DPS. But when I'm still waiting 15 to 20 minutes to play 1 game, I can go into Fortnite and hop in and play multiple games. I can go into so many other games and actually get into a game. And no one really wants to watch someone sit there in queue, so like we end up playing other games while waiting. Sometimes we'll play like the deathmatch, but I want to queue up for ranked. Like the whole reason why I jump on Overwatch is so I can play ranked for the most part. Although sometimes when, you know, like let's say Hog is not meta, which has been like a really long time, I'll just play on other accounts or I'll just do other things for the most part. But with this hero rotation, does it really shift up the game that much? I mean, if you look at the highest level of competitive, and I know this this game, I don't know, it's like 3,000 something SO, I don't know because it's during placements, but if we look at what's actually banned, like none of these are considered like super must-pick heroes in the first place. Like, for example, right now the popular thing to do is to run Rein Diva or Rein Zarya. It doesn't really shift up the game too much if the bans or the heroes that are off the rotation are going to be heroes that people don't really play anyways. I know with the lower ranks of the game, it's basically mystery heroes anyways. But I think that Overwatch needs a lot more content. It needs to, like, not remove content to give us content, if that makes sense, because removing the heroes makes it so, yes, we do play other heroes that see less play, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really make a lot of content creators that maybe haven't played Overwatch in a really long time go, hey, I want to hop on Overwatch right now. I mean, yeah, maybe they might hop on in a game or two, and that's what I did. I hopped in, played like 3 or 4 games, and then I was just like, it's not that much of a difference. I think that 3 DPS would have been a really cool change here, just because even though it completely changes up and it kind of breaks the game of Overwatch in terms of how it's supposed to be played, the thing is that it actually was just so much more enjoyable because, well, if I wanted to play Roadhog as solo tank, well, that was the option, right? And like, I would have so much healing, and I don't know, it just added another dimension to the game. It felt like the game really shifted up to be more of an FPS game, because I feel like majority of the heroes that get insane value in this game don't really require aim. And while Overwatch is an FPS game, and I know that there's more mechanics than just, you know, aiming, the amount of skill required to play majority of the DPS versus the tank, like you have so much more room for error on a tank, with the exception of, I play Reinhardt, I'm going to charge into 6 people while my team complains that there's no shield. Yeah, I understand, like, yeah, there's definitely times where the tank can mess up, but compared to the amount of times that you can mess up on tank compared to like the DPS, it's a lot different. But nonetheless, I think that what would be cool for Overwatch is for them to actually add new content. And I know that they're working on Overwatch 2, and that's probably why they're waiting to go ahead and release everything at once, so we have like a lot of new heroes to mess around with, which is cool and all, but I definitely see the queue times going up still. And like, you know, just looking at the numbers on Twitch, because I always check out, you know, what games are more popular. Sometimes when a new season comes out, the game is really popping. I mean, Fortnite just jumped up so much because of the new season. With Overwatch, when there's a new season, it doesn't become like #1 on Twitch anymore. It's because they need to actually add more content with these new seasons. I feel like just adding the bans, well, it does kind of change up a little bit, right? Like, we have that ability to play heroes that we normally wouldn't play because what would be considered the meta is not even available. But then you have to also look at it like, what about the people that only play one hero, right? The one tricks. I know people say like, oh, you shouldn't be able to one trick in the game. Here's how I feel. Does that one trick just simply not play the game? Like, if there's a one trick that, let's say, if we go back to the hero rotation over here, I have one person that all they do is play like Mei, and they're like really, really bad. Let's say like they're diamond on Mei, but they're literally gold on every other DPS, right? Do you tell that player, oh, you just don't play this week? Or do you tell them, oh, you have to learn new heroes? But if you get that player on your team and you view their profile, oh gosh, don't even get me started with the private profiles. I hate that so much. But you go view the profile and they have like 500,000 hours on Mei and 0 hours on everything. And you're like, well, I guess we lose now because, well, it's more so like if you start losing, you view people's profiles. It's natural, right? I do it too. And then you're like, okay, what the heck does this guy play? I feel like this guy isn't doing too much. You know, you view their profile and you're like, oh, he only plays this character, which is banned. It adds another level of frustration. You know, only having 3 people to avoid is, I think, a terrible system. I think you really need a lot more. The reason why is because if someone literally is throwing, or they're super toxic, or they're like, I'm going AFK because this guy isn't doing this, right? They get super mad. I don't ever want to play with that person again. Like, that's just how I feel. Like, I want him on the enemy team every single time, and I'll be super happy with it. But at the same time, you can only have so many avoids where you end up, I see this a lot. I don't know if it's just because I happen to stream at like about the same time. By the way, if you don't follow me over on Twitch and you do want to follow me, catch me at Rage on Overwatch. I do that every single time until we uninstall them and go back to Fortnite. But the thing is that it's so frustrating to deal with these teammates over and over again. And I see the same players over and over again. Again, I don't know if it's because, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, Overwatch, low player base, Kappa. I mean, let's be honest. Overwatch hasn't been a popular, like, it hasn't been on the top 3 spot on Twitch, and it used to be super, super popular. I feel like with these new changes, as far as the updates go, they really need to implement a lot more to their seasonal changes. I'm talking about adding a new hero right at the start. Let them just have a lot more content for content creators to mess around with. Or what would be really cool is if they implemented previous versions of heroes. I thought this was a really cool concept. And what I mean by that is to have certain versions of heroes that you can play. Like, let's say Roadhog, for example. So Roadhog got an extra ammo in his clip, and on top of that, he actually has lower damage, and he's able to heal while he moves. It'd be cool if you can select like what version of Roadhog you want to play, or what version of whatever hero, right? You could play like Super Brig, but she would have like maybe really, really low ult charge or something, right? What I'm trying to say is, I don't know if any of you guys have played Paladins, but I like that idea of being able to customize your hero a lot more than you can with Overwatch. And I think that would be a really cool change while they don't really have to implement, you know, actual adding content. Just going back and taking that previous version of a hero and making it so we can select it. I don't know if it would really be the most balanced in every single scenario, but I just want that extra added layer of customization and option in the game. I think that would bring a lot more people to come back into this game, because I think the game is still pretty cool to play once in a while, but like to stream it for 8 hours a day, I personally can't do it, man. I get too frustrated literally after like 2 losses in this game. I legitimately want to uninstall this game, and I think a lot of people feel the exact same. I've been watching, you know, I'm sure a lot of you guys visit the Reddit thread, the live stream fails, and it's funny to watch a Dr. Disrespect complain about like the shields, right? But the thing is that like, comparing the DPS compared to, again, tank, like, you have a lot less room for error, and it's not fun shooting into a shield. That's why I loved the 3 DPS, because, again, it felt like more of an FPS game where your aim mattered a lot more. But when, of course, you have 5 other players, it's still a team-based game at the end of the day, and you're going to complain about, like, whatever the circumstances, as long as you don't win. Heck, dude, even when I win half the time, I'll complain about this team was so bad I had to carry them. Like, I mean, like, okay, at this rank over here, again, I don't know the exact number, but like, is it the other player's fault for getting matched into a game? Not really. It's just because, you know, there's just a low player base. Therefore, you know, when there's not enough players in a game, the SR difference might be huge, and he might not be having fun because he's getting absolutely bodied by these higher ranked players, and the other players be like, you're plat. And, you know, like, well, everyone always will complain about, like, the lowest rank on their team if they're losing. And I don't know. It's just not a good scenario, I think, at the end of the day, to have all of these systems in place where it's not the other player's fault, but that's just the way the game is. But let me know, guys, how you feel about the new season. Do you like it? Do you guys wish that they implemented the experimental? That's the thing that I like. That thing on the right with the 3 DPS, I like that a lot more. And again, it says greater than 10 minutes, dude. It is like 15 to 20 minutes to get a game. and it's just not fun to wait. I've seen people go up to half hour sometimes, but I think that has actually gotten a little bit better. But I don't know, it's just the nature of the game. Hopefully it will be fixed in the future when they maybe implement that triple DPS, one tank. I'm actually more excited about that, but for those of you guys that maybe have played Overwatch and you're like, yo, I want to come back into the game for this season, is it going to be like, that big of a deal? I don't think so. It's just a small change unless you only play one hero and that hero is banned, or if you hate playing against one hero. Like, I personally hate playing against Hanzo, so when I see that Hanzo's there, I'm like, ooh, this is looking pretty good. Hanzo's there. I mean, I honestly don't care too much about Mei, but that's just my thoughts on it. You guys can let me know your thoughts on it down below. But thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Have a good one. I'm signing out. Peace. By the way, that fast Q time, that was because we got tank again. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one, and I'm out. Peace.